Hey YouTubers, MahaShaman here with a very important question for you all. Do you, yes you out there, do you feel like you're enough? And if you don't, have you ever asked yourself why you don't? Go ahead. Got a little intro going on here, so while that intro is going on, why don't you ask yourself that question? Do you feel enough? And if you don't feel enough, why don't you? What's missing? Where's the lack in your life? What's going on? Because right now, this moment, you couldn't change it. You are where you are, no matter how low or how high you are. If you're not feeling like you are enough, then why? Alright, now that we've gone through all that jazz, please like and subscribe to my channel if you'd like future content updates. And because I'm trying to grow this YouTube channel, and your likes and support will help me create new and valuable content. And you know what? Give me a little bit of that narcissistic supply. Hey, you know what? Supply is supply, right? We all need it. And something that has become very clear to me as of late, kind of being out of this state of feeling like I'm not enough. Put another way, feeling or being in a devalued state, right? I feel like because of what I went through when I was a kid, and some of the experiences that I had growing up in a narcissistic family system, made me feel like constantly I wasn't enough. Didn't matter what I did, how good my grades were, how well I looked, what I achieved. Internally, these things did not matter because internally I was living in a devalued place. I was devalued. And so I constantly was searching externally outside of myself for something that would give me value, that would make me feel like I was good enough. And that's a very dangerous game because that means we're going along the sides of pathological insecurity. And as some of you may or may not know, pathological insecurity leads to such things as narcissism. Oh, look out, narcissism, no! The big old bad narcissist. Yes, they may seem so confident, they may seem so suave and debonair and charming, but really it's all a cover because deep down inside, they feel like they're not enough. They feel somehow like a big old cow turd, as the case may be. And that's strange because we look at these people, and to us, depending upon our level of pathology too, they seem like they have everything together. But even if they have everything materialistically, physically, whatever the case may be, these people would not hurt other people, exploit other people, lie, like cheat, steal, do what all of the narcissists do if they deep down inside were not trying to play this game of one-upmanship, right? Of trying to always feel better than other people. And so it might come in the subtle devalues of one of my coworkers today with the slight, oh, well, my coworker can't spell and she couldn't read my handwriting, so let's put two and two together with the subtle devalue of she didn't feel good enough. My response to this was to go gray rock. I didn't say anything at all. Why engage her? Why be pulled into the wrestling ring with this person trying to devalue me? I don't have to jade or justify, argue, defend, or explain. I don't have to explain any of that. It is what it is, folks. And if you come from a place of being valued, of having intrinsic value, of feeling like you're good enough, you will not be a narcissist target anymore. If you are, they will automatically know because they'll try to recruit you. I have a video on this, guys. Check it out. I have the link up here. I have the link up here. Click that little eye. They'll try to recruit you and see if they can devalue you. And once they can devalue you, or they pull you into a jade boxing ring, as it were, they know that they can pull at you because they realize, probably unconsciously, unless they're really, really good, like we're talking the malignant sort of narcissist, maybe even the psychopath, that they can get you. But I think a lot of people who live in a devalued state just subconsciously recognize it and know that they can pull off that game, pull you into the wrestling ring, so you start jading and thereby, start playing the game of one-upmanship. Well, if you feel intrinsically good enough, that's never going to happen. So how do you start to build that intrinsic goodness? How do you get out of state of being devalued, assuming that if you're watching this channel and you're watching these videos that you may be in a state of being devalued? How do you get out of that? Well, honey, you have to start working on yourself. You have to start practicing some mindfulness. I had a short video about mindfulness a few days ago, and I want to emphasize that there is a part of you that does not need any sort of validation. There's a part of you that is beyond the materialistic, beyond this body, and you can connect to it very easily by just following your breath and practicing some mindfulness. And once you get there and you realize what it is, you'll start to understand that these thoughts that go through our heads all the time, they're just thoughts. Now let me ask you another question, YouTubers. Are you your thoughts? Are you your ego, put in a more psychological terminology? Ask yourself that. Or are you more than your thoughts? Well, let's look around. Am I more than my thoughts? I've got a physical presence in this body. I'm here for a certain number of years. I have interactions with other people. I seem to be a lot more than just this virtual reality that's always playing in my head. And if that's the case, then what thoughts are you listening to? What thoughts are you paying attention to? And if these thoughts are telling you a narrative or a storyline in the virtual reality of your head, that you're not good enough, that you're unworthy, then it's a lie. You're listening to a lie that society has created, that your family system, narcissistic or non-narcissistic as it may be, has put in there, and now you're running off of these unconscious programs. These unconscious programs are linked to this narrative, this story that you tell yourself. And the fact of the matter is, it's just a story, folks. Remember back to the time when you were kids and you could perhaps make up imaginary places and imaginary lands by telling yourself a story and engaging other kids or siblings that you might have had with this story. Well, we're doing the same thing as adults. It's just our attention and our beliefs have been caught up in this storyline so much that we forgot we were telling ourselves basically a fiction, and that we can tell ourselves any story we want. And so once you start practicing mindfulness, once you get a handle and start building yourself after narcissistic abuse, once you realize that you have boundaries and that you are good enough and no one deserves to treat you in any way that is disrespectful, harmful, abusive, then you realize that you've never been lacking anything. And in fact, in this moment and at all times until, I don't know, time runs out, which I don't think it ever will, you are enough. You are perfect, and you have always been perfect, and you always will be perfect. Now I know you're like saying, whoa, Maha, whoa, does that mean that I never have to change and I don't have to do anything? No, just because you're perfect doesn't mean there isn't room for improvement. There is always room for improvement, but that doesn't ever touch your perfection. You are perfect right now and always. And you can always change, and you can always grow, and there will always be time for that. So yes, YouTube, ask yourself the question, why do I not feel like I'm enough? And if it's just a storyline or a narrative, catch those thoughts, practice some mindfulness, and realize you are amazing and beautiful and perfect, no matter what you look like, what you do, what you have, how much money, how many relationships, how many lack of relationships, whatever. You are perfect. Believe, take those beliefs away from that narrative of imperfection, that narrative of being devalued, and realize that there's nothing to be devalued. Perfection can never not be perfect, and you were born perfect, and you always will be perfect. This is MahaShaman signing out.